waiting for the interest rates to drop, you might be interested in this.
There's no need to wait on the sidelines expecting that rates are going to drop, because we do expect that rates are going to be in the 6% range and home prices are going to increase.
And they're in that range now. That is Jessica Loutz with the National Association of Realtors. She updated the Collin County Association of Realtors on 2025 expectations, and she expects rates to remain in the high sixes, maybe dropping to 6.5%, but not going as low as 5% as many people were hoping. But she does see some encouraging signs. The rate is stable, and it's better than the 8% that we saw back in 2023. They also expect more people to enter the market and more inventory.
And you are already starting to pretty much see that. I mean, well, I'll show you a little later on, but you are starting to see a little bit of a price increase. We are seeing a lot of development into the DFW Metroplex as well, especially commercial and residential new construction. So it's a quite exciting time, but also, you know, it is starting to ramp up. Not that there's FOMO just yet, and there is still a lot of opportunity for buyers, but the market is going to be very exciting for 2025. My name's Trevon. I work with Century 21 Mike Bowman, and this is Moving to Dallas. Right, so I got a few clips to talk about today. That was the first one, interest rates, and she's pretty much spot on. Existing home sales ascend 2.2% in December. Across this is going to be broad stats, but it just kind of gives you this illustration where just because interest rates are high doesn't mean everybody's stopping and doesn't mean prices are going down anymore, right? Especially from the last 2 years where they have gone down considerably. And you can see that in many home sales. We had many price decreases, and in certain markets there still is a lot of opportunity, but you are starting to see pricing ramp up. And based on the future projection of what's coming, it doesn't look like it's slowing down. Which is why I kind of wanted to show this video here. These next two will kind of illustrate what is happening to the area and why, I definitely believe that we are heading to a period of ascending prices. Doesn't mean that it's going to be, like I said, FOMO. Doesn't mean that it's a complete seller's market. Still think there's a lot of opportunity out there. But the buyer pool is, most buyers are ready to buy. Those who waited for interest rates to drop, they waited a year and they didn't drop really that much. And, so as far as to how, that much, there's still a lot of opportunity out there. So let's get right into it.
Massive development in Frisco.
Shannon Murray is live there this morning with the preview of The Mix. Good morning.
Good morning, Brandon and Lauren. Yeah, this is a huge project. We're talking about more than 100 acres eventually. And then later today, the city leaders and the developers will celebrate with a groundbreaking on the first phase of this development. Take a look. The Mix is a $3 billion, 112-acre project. It'll be built around a central park with a walkable neighborhood. The first phase at Dallas Parkway and Lebanon Road will encompass 28 acres with retail, a high-end grocery store, a medical office, urban living, and the northern section of that park. Frisco is expecting lots of development over the next 5 years. The city is already known for the Star, where the Cowboys practice. Coming soon, the Fields West project will include upscale retail, living, and restaurants late 2026. And Firefly Park at 380 and the Tollway will include 40 acres of trails and mixed-use development as well. Now, the groundbreaking for the Mix will be this evening at 4 p.m. So lots to come, Lauren and Brandon.
Yeah, that area was kind of, before COVID, they started working on it. There was some development, and then it just like froze, and it has been sitting there like just vacant, abandoned for quite a while. So I know the city and Scottish Rite Hospital, which is right across the street, is really looking forward to getting something there that, a lot of people can use. Yeah.
This is just one of the many projects that will be coming to the area. And this specific one's in Collin County, but overall, there really is a ton of new development coming to the whole entire DFW Metroplex to a degree. You have the expansion of the airport. There's going to be a development south of that. There's things happening in Aledo. There's things happening in Salina, which I'll get to later on. But this kind of just gives you the idea of what is to come. And then, of course, we have the World Cup. I'm not saying that this is all a part of it. World Cup will be happening, 9 games in Arlington in 2026. I mean, that's like 2 years away. So lots of things that are planning. And I definitely feel that things like this will keep pricing ascending, right? Especially the closer you are to areas like this, which if you are, it also can be an opportunity for. Now, that may be an opportunity to sell, maybe an opportunity to turn your home into a short-term rental. Many things. You're just going to want to check your zoning just to make sure certain things are possible. Definitely ask as many questions as you can. And if you are someone that's interested in that and you have some questions, feel free to check the description, and my contact information should be there.
Little yard, Vincent Van Gogh type deal. Little yard art here.
The best way to get anyone talking
It is yard art.
is to ask them
Office of the Forney Messenger, oldest newspaper in Kaufman County.
about their hometown.
Many, many stories.
My family's been in Salina since 1887.
The small town is no longer a small town, is no longer a small town.
We got here as fast as we could.
Big city, small town, same story.
Home is more than the house you live in. It's our town.
We traveled to 3 places in North Texas: Hazlet, Salina, and Forney.
Quite interesting how they went to these three. These three are definitely booming, let's just say. I mean, Hazlet, I'm seeing people, buy their homes at $350,000 to $450,000 to $550,000. They're all, not all, some are doubling that in what they're selling them for. And then you're also seeing new development in certain builders like Drees Homes, Toll Brothers out in Hazlet. They are building beautiful homes, absolutely beautiful homes at a considerable price. I think you get an acre or two. I think they're on acre lots for sure. I know that it's at least an acre, but absolutely beautiful homes. Infrastructure is going to come to these areas, which right now it's not really truly there, right? So you might hit some traffic in certain aspects. Of course, Salina, or the way they're saying it, Salina, it's going to start adding that infrastructure as well. Forney, I've already talked about in a few other videos. I mean, massive development happening out there. And eventually it will get the things that make people want to stick around, right? Especially Hazlet, Salina. So much growth happening.
Unprecedented population boom in the last 20 years. North Texas adds a new person every 3 minutes. That's 18 people an hour, 429 a day, and 3,015 people a week.
Many of us were born in Terrell, but we are all Forneyites.
Forneyites?
Forneyites.
Don Teamer taught nearly 4 decades at the Forney school he attended. Growing up, there were 1,500 people in town. Now it's over 40,000.
When I used to go to the post office, if 15 people were in there, I called them out by all their names and talked to them. And now if 15 people are in there, we're lucky to know one of them.
Everybody knew everybody.
We all know each other.
60 miles away on the other side of DFW. For now.
For now.
Hazlet's Mayor Gary Halsey is charged with managing a city being swallowed up by a growing Fort Worth.
Most of the traffic you see here, probably 90% of it, none of it's Hazlet. It's all pass-through.
We're in what I call the Golden Corridor between Preston Road and the Dallas North Tollway. Come on, Bucky.
Rex Glendenning is a 4th-generation Salina.
104 inches from tip to tip.
And a longtime land broker.
Ladylike.
But he'd really like to talk with you.
When you're buying art, that might be a Monet.
About his longhorns.
Or that could be a Picasso. I can talk about horns for about as long as you have an ear to hear it.
Ask all three and they'll tell you North Texas's landscape has changed, literally and figuratively. What was once all pasture and farmland is now this. Rooftops as far as the eye can see. A dizzying maze of single-family homes. In one of the longest-running local papers, the Forney Messenger, it advertised homes in 1970.
Yeah, that really is what it is as you go through these places. I mean, I remember as a kid, when my mom would drive me to soccer games out in that Salina area, I guess Plano more or less. But yeah, it was just bare, and now to see what it has come to is quite shocking. Same with Hazlet. When you go through there and you see some of these new built communities just from scratch, and it's pretty epic to see. Now, as far as affordability, I think that's where it does make it difficult for some, because some of these areas, they are building new construction, but I wouldn't say that these necessarily are starting prices for new construction homes, but that's kind of where we live in supply and demand. If you do have questions about any of these new builds in any of these areas, let me know, and I can give you some information on those homes or provide you with what types of builders or what types of incentives possibly are there.
Guess how much they were going for?
A new house, $18,000.
Close.
Pretty close.
$25,000 is barely enough to make a down payment now.
I am sad that we have grown to this size so.
We still are in a market where you're seeing seller pay concessions. Therefore, you can definitely get those closing costs down. Now, it depends on the home, how much attention it has, but I'm telling you, across the board, you are seeing a lot of opportunity, especially in that field, especially too because of the compensation rules between brokers that is now disclosed in the contract. So these things are adding an effect to the market depending on the home that you are interested in.
Quickly.
You might as well grin and bear it because it's coming whether you want it or not.
Salina is the fastest growing city in the country, over 50,000 people and a 300% growth rate.
I think Salina will be the largest city in Collin County.
That is a bold statement. Growth is complicated, especially if you're having to adjust to the changing dynamics. Misconceptions about growth are real too.
That there is money to address the infrastructure required to support the growth.
Most all cities are playing catch up.
It's small town Texas.
Mayor Hall's
That is definitely a very good point, and I think this is where I'm no expert now in economics, but from what I'm seeing from the outside, this is kind of what has happened to some of these pockets in some of these areas. Some of Hazlitt to a degree, and then some of Forney to a degree. Now, Salina, I definitely think they have a lot more opportunity out there because of what's coming out there. You've got Disney coming out there. I know they got a beautiful golf course up there that the PGA I think plays for, and then of course the price point. You get more land to a degree, but the price point also allows a little bit more flexibility. But that is a spot on key. Infrastructure. If you're going to these areas, it might not be like some of the other dense areas, but infrastructure will slowly come.
control will make that harder. He's talking about the bills now in Austin.
Biggest threat to Hassett right now and other cities is our legislature.
I would not want to be one of the persons in charge.
It's a real worry that cities will lose their identity in a boom.
They're pretty fat and sassy.
No amount of city planning can create that community.
You either have it or you don't, and we have it.
It's what puts the home in hometown.
My town of Forney.
And that's grown over time. In North Texas, I'm Jobin Puniker.
Man, yeah, that was a great little article. I really like that those types of videos. Just get a little bit of insight from people who've lived there all their lives. Obviously, as real estate agents, we try to do as much research as we can. I mean, I live not that far away from this area, but still, I bet that can be traumatic depending on what side of the coin you're on. For me, it looks like a great opportunity, but for some, they're hoping that the change can go a little bit slower, or at least keep to the identity of what they once knew as a hometown. So interesting perspective to see that from. And yeah, that's kind of how the market's going, man. They are filling these towns up. I think you're going to see it across the board. There's definitely some other cities I'm keeping my eye on. I'm not going to mention them in here just yet to keep them a little less quiet than they probably already are, if they're not quiet. But yeah, to keep it a little secret. But if you made it this far, and if I provided you any type of value, please leave a like. If you have anything to say, leave a comment. Let me know what your perspective is, especially if you are someone who's lived in one of these cities, or if you're someone that wants to move to some of these cities, or if you're someone who bought in some of these cities and now you're kind of realizing like, hey, maybe it wasn't worth the hype, or now you have an idea, hey, I can just wait. It's coming. Infrastructure will most likely come. And therefore, value typically should come over time, especially with what we're seeing in our market. You saw how many people are moving to our area. It's very exciting stuff. especially for the year 2025, especially where we live. You know, we are kind of fortunate. We have a lot of space and a lot of development is headed our way, especially larger commercial side of things. But my name's Trevon. If you made it this far, again, I really appreciate you watching. This is Moving to Dallas. If you have questions, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, give me a call. My contact information will be down in the description. And until the next video, man, y'all have a blessed week. All right, later.